Greetings to you, Gavin. I want you to know something. I feel like I have known you since I was 24 years old. And it's been a relationship, probably a one-way relationship, because you don't really know me, but through a record called 16 Stone, I don't feel like I can have a conversation with you in 2023 without just bringing up a record that has been a soundtrack for so many of us. And by way of that, I feel like I've gotten to know you and grow with you. And there really isn't a question there. It's just that I appreciate that, you know?
I appreciate that too.
It's an incredible record. And my first full-time job was in Daytona Beach, Florida at a radio station called The Crow. And you guys played a show for us way back then. And I think my love affair with your band started, you know? And so now we skip forward to 2023. Less than a year ago, you dropped a record, which I think is The Art of Survival, which I just think is a shining example of how you continue to bring the heavy when you want, yet you also give the nod to some cooler, slicker, chill songs. Does that make sense?
Sure. Thank you again. And the addition of Amy singing 1,000 Years with me, like, I'm so shocked. It's like finally a song I can play my mum, you know. It's awesome.
It's a compliment to your voice for sure. You know, the new song that hits radio in a few days, All Things Must Change. You absolutely right out of the gate bring the heavy. You know, what is your mindset behind a song like that?
To be exciting, you know, obviously it's unusual that as you progress through life, you get heavier. But I felt that, you know, I made a, you know, pretty bruised record. It all goes in within my life of like, you know, you get divorced, and I was like, you know, divorce is the worst thing. And so I was beaten up, and I did a record, which I'm really proud of. It's this People at War, I think is one of the best songs I've ever written. But it wasn't a record that set anything on fire because I was too busy putting myself out, the flames out. And so had that sort of thing. And it was a funny situation because I was like, I could sense that it was a record that just was a necessary record. It wasn't necessarily the biggest record we ever did. And so I just knew that when I woke up to do the next record and dusted myself off and you know, kind of like, you know, sucked it up and just got on with life, I was like, God damn, I'm a lot more angry than I realized. And so I came in with a heavy. And I noticed that when we do shows through the years, we often play with really heavy bands, you know, literally like through that last summer, I was with Mastodon, Deftones, right? So when I'm in those situations, I was always pulling every detuned song from every record. Every detuned song would make the set list, along with the hits that people would know. But, you know,
sure.
So I was like having, you know, I made that Institute record. I was so proud of it. It's all C sharp drops tuning. I was like, what am I doing? Let me just write. And so I got into this world of being inspired by some drop tuning, and yet at the same time trying to find the melody with it and trying to find the words to go with it. And, you know, I'm not very good. I can't do, and it's not my bag, the whole screamo thing, which is really impressive in some ways. I'm like, can't believe that. But the Deftones, I don't like the screechy ones. I like it when he's singing, she's my girl, it's all right, I don't mind when she stings me, I don't mind. You know, that to me is like, oh, yes, like bomb. And yet the music, Steph and the band, and, you know, Sergio was in it, but the band is just like, ridiculously good, and I love how they sound, and it's all and then when they want to get you where the main like as Deftones, it's like this.
Yes, it is.
It's the Deftones, and it's all you want because they're so good.
You know, Gavin,
so I like that.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's well, first of all, the first Institute record. You know, I was in Jacksonville at the time. You played the Freebird Live in Jax Beach, and I love that record. I still listen to that record. And you know, you also mentioned a couple Bush records here and there that may not hit with sales, but I think you're hardcore fans. And I just feel like we've been on that ride all the way. So when you make a record the fans are going to buy it and enjoy it and go with you. And, you know, you talk about a divorce. Like I went through that probably 12 years ago. My dog died the same year, that was 15 years old. And I went through that stuff, but I'm not a singer and I can't express myself. So I went through some therapy and leaned on my social circle. And you may have done the same, but you also collectively put it all together and release a record or make music through that. I appreciate real. And I also feel like your lyrics are one thing, but I also feel like when I say you bring the heavy on All Things Must Change, your band speaks through heavy ass guitars.
Yeah.
Without having to necessarily scream. But I think that's a compliment to your vocals.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just, with that, you know, I love it because with Chris, who's like, he is my brother, we're so tight and close. It's brilliant. I had such a long chat with him yesterday, and we bring each other down. If one of us is like spinning out, we talk to the other, and the other will have the perspective to just really calm, bring it down. And so I'm so in sync with him, and I know him so well. He's being sort of, he has, you know, trouble in his life, and he's got an angle. I can always help him because I've got his perspective and I've got his back. I love him. And I think with that, I was so happy with the way that we interchange on that song, specifically on All Things Must Change. That sort of main chorus bit with run through the just that whole the interplay between some of my mind's going blank, too many songs, but the interplay between this, it felt one of the closest we've ever been of trade-offs of guitar and voice, you know, breathe through all of this, nothing stays the same. And his guitar is like spinning, you know, going up around me like flames. God, that sounds Spinal Tap. But his guitar, like, it focuses, and then there's the lyric, then the guitar focuses. And that was, to me, my favorite collaboration between us, of really respecting his riff and then stealing the limelight when his riff's not happening, and then getting back the next piece of his riff because it's too good to sing over, you know? So
I know exactly what I know exactly what you mean by that. And I love your sort of pulling the curtain back a little bit. And because if it's making you as excited and happy and like in the moment to his guitar as your vocals are, you know, back and forth, that's got to be pretty cool. Because I got to believe the, you know, the couple of different iterations of your band may not have always been like that. I don't know that, but when you're on point with your band, it's got to be so satisfying, not just in the studio, but also playing these songs live.
It feels, what I love about playing these songs live, the set we just did on the last tour, and we just played the Soul Show in Chicago. That was a great show.
It was.
I can't help but feel, wow, you know, we're prepared. Like, if one song goes into the next, it feels great, it sounds great, it's really fun to sing. I mean, I haven't done many shows, but sometimes there'll be, you play something and I go, oh, I have to play this song right now? I should play that. It's not always 100% of the time exactly what I want to play. I might play a song that's known versus a song that's unknown, but in my heart, I want to play the unknown song because it's more exciting for me. But I've sort of, Chris will be the one to say, no, just don't do that. Just, okay, we'll do this set. So, but now every song just sort of, sometimes I kind of marvel, and I kind of I'm thrilled by the other three when I'm playing. And when they're playing, they're doing stuff, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so good.
I love you saying that. Yeah. Because, you know, I often find that, you know, bands are at their best when each musician in the band is a superstar when he or she needs to be, right? Mm-hmm. Collectively. So to hear you say that, because there are plenty of times in your songs where, you know, you're not singing, but you're probably, I don't know if marveling is the right word, but you are amped to see to
Yeah.
see your family on stage just
Yeah.
doing their fucking thing.
Yeah, no, I am, because and what I love about them, my favorite piece of gratitude towards them is they're so damn consistent. Like I'm the loose cannon. You know, they're so damn good. They don't make that many mistakes, and you know, Chris doesn't have to sing, so he's super type A OCD, so he's going to play the same way every night, you know. And Corey is fantastic, and I'm the one who's like, oh fuck, what's that chord? What's that chord for the middle? You know, I might miss a bit. You know, I'm trying to think of so many things. I think I have an
Yeah,
excuse
man.
forming. I've got to say stuff in between. No one's got to think of that. I've got to think of that. And I don't have anything down by pat. I try and sort of keep it as honest and as sort of as completely real as possible. So I'm just, I feel like the punk to their funk. No, they're not funk, but I just mean sometimes
Yeah.
I'm loose cannon. I've got the feedback. My sound is like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a bit more messy than they are. Without me, they're so exact. You might need a little bit of smudge. I'm smudge, and I give it the kind of I don't know what it is. I bring something that they don't have, which is an ability to make kind of cool mistakes for no reason.
Yes. Yes.
Things, and people like that when things mess up. And you don't want to make mistakes, but somehow when there's a sort of an unknown, I am an unknown quotient. You know, I have great nights where I'm not going to make that many mistakes on guitar, but I have plenty of times where that feedback is just too much, and I'm just too, you know. So I think that it works really good. That I feel like I'm the not the redhead stepchild, but I'm not as good as they are. They are really good. I'm not as good as them. Those three can go and do sessions for people and have a vocabulary of music and do this and that. I'm a bit like, I'll figure it. I'll figure it. What do you got? I'll figure it. But they're more learned and studied. I do study and I try, but I'm just never going to be as what they are. And yet they're never going to be what I am. So it's the combination, the alchemy is what makes it Bush and what makes it interesting. And I'm a bit more spill. You know, when a wave crashes, I'm that extra wave.
I'm so I appreciate you saying that. I love that you say that. I don't know, in your mind, when you guys are about to take the stage, you know, or your mindset between, you know, before every show, well, first of all, let me tell you how I want to see a show. I don't want to hear exactly the way it sounds on a record. I love the live. And so do you find the longer that you have been a band, do you want to sing those lyrics a little differently?
No, weirdly enough, I think, like, I personally have a pet peeve when anybody changes melody.
Okay.
I think that you can change music. Like if I do a cover, I study that lyric, and weirdly, I usually do it so I could double track the vocal with the person whose song I'm doing. So I'm so respectful of all the nuances. And what's weird is that music's so incredible because, in spite of the fact, like, you could hear any covers that we do, and they will sound quite singular to us, but you'll never. I'm sure I screw up plenty, but I think that's the one area that can't change. That's sacrosanct, the melody. Everything else is open to, like, stop, extra. And so it's funny because I can't, you know, like Bono's got that, they just released that 40 song acoustic, and he's changed lyrics and he changes some melody, and I'm just like, wow, you know, the streets have no name, and it ends with, it's all I can do, it's all I can do. You can't change it. Like, now it's the only way through, or something like that, is the lyric now. And I was just like, no, we know my DNA, is you're confounding my DNA. I like it when people stick to it. I
Okay.
people that redo melodies, and when they put the runs and things, when I've been on talent shows and judging, and people think that I'm going to put a little run in here that take a hit record, I'm going to put a couple of runs in it. So you see,
Does it drive you nuts?
It drives me insane. I don't need a rewrite. You don't need to rewrite anybody. You need to sing it like you mean it. Why does a run make you mean it? It doesn't. A run just shows me that you can do a run. It's just sort of a
sure.
Like a workout moment. I'm not interested in your steps. I just want to hear what the song is. And people get
when it comes to your own songs, whether it's your current record or again, we go back to 16 Stone and anything and everything in between. Do you hold those? This may be a stupid question, but I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking. Do you hold those like super close and personal to you? Like, I am not going to fucking sing it any different. We are not going to play it any different. This is how the record was, and I'm presenting it to you.
Yeah, I'm into the music being different, or the heavying it up, or
yeah. Okay.
So I'm into the music that's open. You can change chords. The music it's not incidental, but there's many ways to hold a melody. You can do it with an open guitar, you can do it with a tight guitar, you can do it on bass. That stuff, I think it's important to change it, else it becomes like a karaoke. I don't want to do karaoke versions of things. But what's so is that, like I haven't done it for a while, but I used to do Landslide a lot with Chris. And I kind of pretty much followed Stevie Nicks, I think. I mean, I may have veered off now, but I did try and follow her the best I could. And yet it sounds completely different. Even, obviously, I'm never going to sound as good as Stevie Nicks, but even when music is
just different.
Just follow the melody, your voice will make it a different song. Your voice will make it a different song. You can sing the same notes, same melody, same timing, same tempo. It's just the way it goes. It's just, you hear it. And so, no, that's the one. Melody is like, you can't touch it. And when you do touch it, I don't like it when people do that. I feel people do that in gigs. I just feel shortchanged. Like, what are you changing for? Like Dylan. Dylan. He changed the melodies to every single song he ever wrote. And so I went to see so many shows where I'd be like, oh, by the sort of 17th verse, I think I get what the song is. But like, suddenly, whatever.
I really appreciate you saying that. Like, I never, these are your songs. Although I will say, let me play devil's advocate. And this doesn't have anything to do with the way that you are sticking to it, right? When you're playing it live versus what it sounds like on the record. But like, it's cool because those are your songs, I believe, right? Before you release the record. And then when you release a brand new record, like you did was it July of last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I feel like, well, you've given these songs to me. I'm not talking about singing 100%. It any different. But I love those songs. And I'm going back to 16 Stone. I know we got to wrap up, but like, those songs have been my life.
Mine too.
I'm so glad that you said that. And I'm a little bit of a cheese bag, but I work for a lot of rock stations, but I'm also a Bush fan. I'm also a fan of music and these songs. Swallowed is a favorite of mine too. So like, when you dropped that record last eight months ago, I feel like, okay, well, as I listen to it to myself, I am now putting your songs and your words to my life.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I can't stand saying what songs are about for me, because I think when you put them out into the universe, just like children belong to the world. Kids belong to songs belong to the world, and when you've released them, you let them go. And that's why I've never ever. First off, I've never written songs. I tried when I first began. I tried to write songs that were more narrative based. A lot of people write narrative based songs. People write songs where they, it's always about, you get the sense of the time and the place. And somehow I was always like an alien. I never might make a song with a good story. I could never make a song that was like reflected London, and I was always like, and then I realized that was a gift in of itself, because it made it transient. It made it like a spaceship. Every song's a spaceship, and wherever it lands is whose it is. Like, I don't sing Come Down. To me, I don't even remember what I sang about it. When I sing Come Down, that is a completely taken into account where my life is at that moment.
Yes.
And in the same way that when you hear Come Down, you're not going to be like, okay, Gavin was really blue.
Yes.
Then he had a doner kebab, made him feel slightly better. Then he went to
Yeah.
see a movie. So if I see a movie, I'm connected to that song. No, it's about you and what's going on in your life in that day, and that you don't want something to change that is really happening. It's funny, isn't it? Come Down, I don't want to come back from that cloud. And yet here I am.
Dude.
Later, all things must change. Because I'm like, I don't want to come back down. So I don't want life to change. I don't want this moment to change. I love it, is the feeling. And all things must change is like, it's all going to change at all times. The ground is moving beneath us at 1,800 miles an hour. The earth is spinning. We're going 1,800 miles an hour, and so's your life. And it felt so good to sing All Things Must Change over and over, because they do.
Well said.
Well,
I can't wait.
Well said.
Well,
repetitive, because I speak really like it.
I can't wait to play your song May 3rd, when it gets released to radio, and I can't wait to talk up the deluxe version of the record that you put out last year.
Did you hear Amy's version of Thousand Years?
Yes, I have, and it is a goosebump song to me.
Yeah. I got goosebumps and made me cry. I literally got tears. I welled up with tears just because I was like, just taken away by her beauty, like the beauty of what she did, and just her wanting to sing with me. I just never thought that I thought one thing to do a song live, which is how it came around. I asked her to sing at a show.
Yes.
So I sent him the song, and I never thought. And then, of course, as soon as my management heard it, like, oh my God, put this out. I was like, I don't know if you can put it out. It feels a bit like one time Gwen sang with me back in the day, Universal. It was an amazing moment on stage. She came out. It was really brilliant. It's one of my favorite memories ever. And I was so embarrassed when my management were like, put this out. I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, that's so. I just
Your manager said what?
You got to put it out. You got to,
Yeah.
Money, like, get the most out of it. And I was like,
sure.
Are we using my wife to promote a song that everyone knows? What are we doing here? I felt really uncomfortable. I didn't enjoy it. I felt guilty about it. And I didn't like it because I was humiliated in a way. I didn't want to do it. And my management at the time were like, that'd be great. It didn't feel good to do that. And so Amy was never going to be there. But actually what turned out is she was so happy to do it. And my favorite thing is I worked really hard on the mix, because I got a mix of it that I thought we could do better, and we worked on it better. And when she heard the mix, she goes, oh my God, I normally have a lot to say about mixes. I don't have anything to say about this mix. So I was like, yes, I got it right.
Were you doing the mix or working with your mixer and just hands-on approach for both of you?
Well, he got it to where he thought it should be.
Got it.
I went in and I got it to where I thought it should be.
I love it.
That's it. I know, I've done that on every record. You don't ask to be accredited as a mixer, but every record I've ever made, I'm there from the silence.
Yeah.
I'm there from when it's silence. So
yes.
I sit in a mix and they do a ton of the work and they make 64 tracks all happen.
Jesus. Yeah.
You need, I'm always the guy at the end, especially vocals, and not often people won't know what I meant. So for instance, on All Things Must Change, when I was sprucing that mix up from where I got it, the repeat line is as integral and as important as the main line. All things must just. Now, when I got it back, that repeat was barely audible because he didn't, I just got them, I sang on that music, Chris sent me the music, and I put a song on it, and then I send the song back. And so when he goes to mix that, I go, oh, no, check it out. And I sent him my original mix that I did. And I was like, it's got to be that it's all things. The idea is that it just never ends. And you're in a sort of this kind of thing. If you only have all things, you just have that one thing, there's no answer line, it's not as hypnotic. So those things, he didn't know my intention. So, because it worked the other way. It's not like it didn't work. It just wasn't.
Right.
the idea wasn't realized. And then as soon as I go in and say, do that, I want the harmonies here, and all those kind of things, all those little details that most mixers, I don't know, I've done on every single record I've ever made. There's never been a record where I've gotten mixes that I was like, okay. Sometimes when you go to just a mixer, like a sort of there's great famous mixers, and you
Sure.
them, they do a mix in a day. You go, okay, but all they do is they really turn the voice up, they make it bright, they put a delay on it. The band always gets smaller, but it sounds, the Clear Mountain kind of mixes, but it sounds really good on a radio. But I'm always like, I like it. I like how you hear the records is how I like it, because that's where we get it to. And I want the words clear, but I don't like losing the band. I like the band to be really up there with it. So we're all in it together,
Thank you for this conversation. I know exactly what I'm going to do for the next 15 minutes after we sign off. I'm going to go back and listen to that single, and I'm going to just listen to it the way that you knew you wanted to hear it. That's fascinating. Yeah. That's so fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's very collaborative, my world. I'm very lucky. I surround myself with great people. And if I have some ideas to finesse it from a vocal point of view, so what? In this situation, Eric does a wonderful job, amazing job of of mixing it and doing all that. And then I just come in with my fat opinion.
I think it works. I think it has worked for quite some time. This is a delightful conversation.
On 1,000 years after we're doing changes, which is the worst, remotely. So we did it, and Eric wrote me, he's like, okay, I'll do these, but these are the last changes because I'm doing, and I was like, I think, okay, thanks so much. I was thinking, hang on, we're just making the record great. I think you should be saying, thanks, you're right. You can take that as well. Here's an option, but okay.
Here's an option.
But okay, I'll take, thank you. Thanks for making, allowing us to make the record great. Okay.
I appreciate hearing that, and your human side. Like, you're a human being. So like in my job in the radio business, I know what I want. I know how I want to shape my show every day. And you do the same thing.
That's like videos, like videos, photo shoots, mixes, songs. Yeah. It's like in the studio, it's like, I don't know, yeah, it's pretty good. Could you just do it good? When people say, let me send you a rough mix, I say, I don't want a rough mix. I want you to realize everything to your best of your ability. And then if I have an opinion, then it's only going to make it better or whatever, we get into talking about it. But if you give me like a half-baked idea, I'm going to tell you do A, B, and C. You could be like, oh, I was going to do A, B, and C. So I'm like, just you do it till you think you're done and you think it's amazing. Once you think it's amazing, let me see what I think. Don't give me you think is decent, because I'm going to be like, but it's not amazing. So you're wasting everyone's time. Videos are the worst. Let me give you a rough edit. I don't want a rough edit. Finish it how you see it. And then if we need to change it, we'll get into it. I did a video with Stefan Stednowy back in the day, and he's an amazing video director. Finally got a video with him for Chemicals Between Us. And he goes, I don't understand. You say it's fantastic, because I'm a positive person, but I've got 32 changes. That's like, well, I don't know. Send it to me without the need for 32 fucking changes. Have you ever thought of that?
Bring your best. Let me hear your best. And then let's finesse it if it needs to be.
Like when I sent those songs back, All Things Must Change, I sent it to the best of my ability. Not, hey, what do you think about this jam? I'm like, I'm going to finish it. And now what do you think of this?
This is the best I'm giving you at the time I've recorded.
And then, by the way, they changed it. Like that whole thing, when you listen to the song, that whole All Things Must Change that comes in early, I never had that. I had the first turnaround was without that. The payoff was it. I'm older, so I'm like, I'm not in a rush to have to hear that lyric within like 1.5 minutes. I'm happy to wait till 2.5 minutes. It's all good. I'm not going anywhere. And I still don't I compromise. I still don't like what was changed on it, but I can't be, it's not a dictatorship, it's a collaboration. So
it is a collaboration.
Okay, but it gives me a slight twitch, but okay. There's an edit for radio and there's edit on the record, and there's no prizes for guessing which one I prefer.
I've only heard the radio, obviously.
It allows it to get a little bit more, it's a little bit more of all in the middle bit, All Things Must Change goes double. because I wanted to be cyclical and mesmerizing, and they thought everyone was going to leave and the record's going to fail, and I was like, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy. Oh, no, anyway, but it's all good, and shorter is better. So here we go.
I can't wait to see you in 2023 on a stage. Get your tour bus and point it to Chicago and let's go.